Hello Zimbabwe, thank you for joining us on Nehanda TV. My guest today is the new Member of Parliament for Norton constituency, Mr. Temba Mliswa. Thank you for joining us, Temba.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on Nehanda TV.
Right, first things first, Temba, a lot of flack being thrown your way. You are being described, obviously, as an opportunist for having lost the election in Hurungwe West and going to stand in the Norton by-election and, of course, winning. Some say you abandoned your constituency in Hurungwe and saw an opportunity arising in Norton. What's your reaction to that?
First of all, I want us to be very clear to understand where I'm coming from in terms of principle, in terms of what I tried to achieve. I was a Member of Parliament for Hurungwe West 2013. I beat MDC free and fair election, which they all agreed there was no violence at all, because I never believed in violence. I believed in development being the weapon for winning any constituency. I was expelled from Zanu PF as a Member of Parliament. As such, I stood as an independent candidate to ensure that the will of the people is met. Clearly, it's unfair for one to be expelled when the electorate does not want you expelled. The Hurungwe West people and I have a connection, a relationship as their legislator, them as the constituency, and myself as a person who's practical in implementing the development programs that they really wanted. That I did, and they asked me to stand. Any leader must get a mandate from the people to represent the people. And it's unfair for people to say, for selfish reasons, I'm able to leave a constituency. I worked hard in that constituency, but everybody knows what happened. I got 4,000 votes to Zanu PF 5,000, which was something unheard of equally as an independent candidate against the entire state machinery. It was an election marred with a lot of electoral malpractice. It was the first time I'd gotten into election with Zanu PF being the opposition, me being an independent. I was naive, yes, I did not understand some of the tricks that Zanu PF would employ for me to be able not to win. As such, it was an experience which I needed to encounter. It was an experience for all Zimbabweans. I then stood as an independent candidate in Norton because I don't have a constituency, and I still believed that things have got to be taken to Zanu PF. There are those who believe change comes through social media. Unfortunately, I believe change comes through going on the ground, campaigning and winning an election through the ballot. To me, it's critical to understand what I represent. I represent people. In representing people, they speak through the ballot. Through the ballot they spoke. I was the provincial chairman for Marsh West, which has 22 constituencies. And what I can tell you is I'm very popular in all those constituencies because of the work that I do. You also agree that despite the controversial attacks and articles on me and whatever people say about me, I still go and win election. Is it not about time people ask themselves that after a person has been attacked so much, he still wins election? It's an insult to the electorate that votes for me to be in power. You are in a way not accepting democracy to prevail. Democracy says that if the majority speaks, respect what the majority say, and the minority become part of the majority's say in whatever.
A lot of factors contributed to your stunning win in Norton, and a lot has been made about the contribution of the opposition movement for democratic change. We saw its vice president Nelson Chamisa organizing with you a rally that was later tear-gassed by the police. But immediately after your win, there were rumblings when you were quoted as saying, or rather attributing Zanu PF influence to your win, and a lot of people felt you were betraying the MDC who had supported you prior to the by-election.
Let me make this very clear. The Norton win was a United Nations approach where everybody believed that change was imminent, and as a result, I was the candidate. The Norton win had three factors to it. One, you needed a courageous candidate. You needed a candidate who would come up with a strategy, and you needed a candidate who would work. Strategy then involves me bringing all the progressive forces together. MDCT being the biggest opposition party, being part of it, and the other smaller parties. PDP were first in announcing my support before MDC officially. So I don't want to say this one was superior than the other, but what I can say to you, all progressive movements got together, while the leadership of these parties, some of them I'll name later, were not prepared to endorse me. The electorate in Norton, who are the people who voted for me, who are the people who matter, had already made a decision to work with me. And as a result, they started the voter registration process despite a call from their party leadership not to vote for me. I want to applaud the people from Norton for such a move, because whatever happens in their being an MP affects the people of Norton. And it's pretty clear that political parties totally are not in touch with what's happening on the ground. Nelson Chamisa coming on board, Didmas Mtasa equally came on board supporting Nera on the day, and many other parties came on board. So MDC gets the mention because of the mere fact that they're the biggest opposition. But we must not equally ignore that there are some other parties who were part of this. There are some other neutrals who were part of this. My whole emphasis on MDC was that they needed to come on board if they were serious about being progressive, about dealing with the common enemy, which is Zanu PF. And to me, they did come through. In the end, I applaud them for that. Despite me getting attacks from several political parties, why I've always put MDC and its leader Morgan Changira as the person to lead the coalition, is from a point of principle and fact. Empirical evidence stemming from the 2013 elections is who led after Mugabe. It was Morgan Changirai. So it's a no-brainer for anybody to say the person who has the biggest number must lead the coalition. Despite other people not thinking likewise, even some within MDC don't believe in Morgan Changirai, but he got the second highest vote after the president election. As such, he must lead. That's automatic. I still remain with that. What then happened is that I then created an atmosphere for everybody to be in stadium, to thank everybody, inviting all political parties, but making him the guest of honor. He did not attend despite us putting all that in place. Neither did he have the courtesy to tell me that he would not attend. I was then told later on now, when I realized that it was as a result of people being jealous of the fact that I had won and that I would end up leading the coalition and so forth. How do I lead a coalition? I don't even belong to a party. I don't even have a political party myself. YAD is not even a political party. So it stems from the jealousness of other people within MDC, as I understand. And that certainly did not go down well with me, because as a member of parliament, there's an aspect of credibility and dignity which I must protect, and I don't have to use the name of Morgan Changirai to have people coming to my rally. Temba Mliswa is a brand on his own. He has his own following. Despite them doing that, they even went on, despite him not calling to say that he's not coming, they even went on to stop their own members from coming who were wearing MDC t-shirts. Thank God they went back home, wore their clothes, came back to the rally. We had over 6,000 people at the rally, which was unheard of. And this was a mixed people, Zanu PF, all the parties there. It would have been a great occasion for the person who I believe should lead the coalition to then address those people. I presented an opportunity for them. He did not come. He will never ever have an audience which is Zanu PF people like I had done for him in Norton to address. In moving forward, I thought it was a good thing, and I think in embracing togetherness and progressiveness in the name of the coalition, he would be the best to then address the people as we find a new way for Zimbabwe. He did not come.
Were you given any reasons why Changirai decided not to attend?
No, they said that cancer treatment, but it was not true. He was in the country. Now that I know, he was in the country. And certain people went to him and told him things which were not true within their MDC structures and so forth. But I don't have to worry about that. Listen, if they don't trust those people with a history in Zanu PF, they also must understand that the Zanu PF people that they need to also work with them will not trust them in the coalition. You cannot have a coalition and you cannot win an election in this country without a component of Zanu PF. Zanu PF is the majority, whether you like it or not, whether it's through rigging or whatever you want to call it. But you equally need Zanu PF people to move forward. That is the reason why people must separate and attack on the leadership of Zanu PF and the innocent electorate. Mbuya wangu ari kumusha vanosapota Zanu PF vanei nekutadza kutonga kuri kuita Zanu PF panyaya dzematongerwo enyika havanei nazvo, saka musavatuke kosekuru vako vanei nazvo. If there's anything, ngatovataurei kutadza kuita Zanu PF tifambe navo pamwe chete. They are the majority. We need them there. We need the war veterans there. We need the security there, and we need everybody that we can to be able to cross the river that we all want to cross and all that.
Okay, now still staying with your note on victory. Now that you are talking about Zanu PF, some have argued that a big part of the reason why you won was the fact that the faction within Zanu PF, led by Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa, allegedly controls the rigging machinery in the country, and that they allowed you to win as a way to undermine Xavier Kasukwere and the G40 faction within the party.
No, there's no rigging machine. Political parties mislead people and Zimbabweans by telling them that Zanu PF rigs. There's no ballot stuffing. The rigging is in the intimidation, the violence, the vote buying. These are the reforms that we need to deal with, not in the ballot. It's impossible for you to ballot stuff when you've got your own agents, polling agents. Some of them are your sisters, your brothers. Are you telling me they will stand and watch ballot stuffing happening? Of course that will not happen. And I think it's important for us to understand that. Let's not mislead people. Let's be able to clear what sort of electoral malpractice happens. It's intimidation, vote buying, and violence, which was orchestrated by the war veterans, who really are the people who controlled and who campaigned for Zanu PF. Zanu PF itself in its membership has never been able to campaign. No wonder why when apparently Morgan Tsvangirai won 2008, from 2008 to 2013, the war veterans were now stationed on the ground, started campaigning, and MDC did not campaign 2008 to 2013. They did not campaign. So you cannot win if you have not campaigned, and you cannot constantly be crybabies and talk about rigging and so forth. Listen, you've got to come up with strategies and ways of dealing with this. And the factions in Zanu PF.
But would you admit though that your victory suited the Mnangagwa faction more than it did G40?
No, I don't even know about the Mnangagwa faction. If Zanu PF, I'm a strong campaigner myself. I'm a seasoned politician. I was the chairman of March West, and Norton is part of March West. I dealt with the structures of Norton as well. I did some work in Norton as chairman in the Kingsdale housing development, which is the biggest ward in Norton, which has over 3,000 voters, followed by Ward 15, which is rural. And I won 2 of those because of my popularity within when I was in Zanu PF, because of my popularity with being a worker. There is also the aspect of charisma in politics. You can be given 20 billion, you can benefit from the factions, but you yourself, are you convincing enough to represent people? I have a track record of representing people properly. I have a record of not wanting to take a car because I believe that the people's welfare is more important than a car. I believed in that the cars must be manufactured in Zimbabwe. People have a record of that. So it's equally important for us at the end of the day not to ignore who Temba Mliswa is as a legislator, is a charismatic politician. Donald Trump had bad publicity, but he won the election. Hillary Clinton is more educated, but Donald had the charisma and appealed to the people, and that was what was important at the end of the day in this election. So if there were factions within Zanu PF and I benefited from them, so be it. There are equally factions within MDC, there are equally factions in People First. It is the candidate and the strategy and the work that he puts in ensuring that he wins an election. If it was the factions in Zanu PF and MDC, how come in Chimani, the independent candidate did not win? There's Bikita West, there's an election. If it is so that it's the factions and MDCT who were instrumental in my victory, why don't they do the same in Bikita West? That's a challenge. So Chimani, they lost. They were supposed to go there and support and show their influence. In Bikita West, they must also go and show their influence. Then they can come before everybody and say, you can see, Mliswa won because of us. You cannot talk about Mliswa and allow Chimani to lose, give power to Zanu PF, allow Bikita to lose and give power to Zanu PF. It does not make sense.
But the argument used was that the candidate in Norton was imposed by Kasukuwere, and even the president himself later went on to describe the Norton Zanu PF candidate as a thief. So there was a sense there that it suited that the Lacoste faction more to have you win than for the Zanu PF guy to win.
Listen, when there might be faction, when it comes to the president Mugabe, they all meet. This is a constituency which goes to his home. And why would they want, each faction belongs to Mugabe. So why would they want their president to pass through a constituency and his farm, Highfields Farm, Clifford Farm is not on constituency? Why would they want their president, who they all belong to in terms of a faction, want to have a farm which is in a constituency which does not belong to Zanu PF? It doesn't make sense. Are you with me? It doesn't make sense.
Okay, let's quickly move on to another issue since we're running out of time. You are quite clear, or before we had a situation where the animosity between yourself and the Zanu PF political commissar Xavier Kasukuwere was well documented. You won Norton, and one of the first things you did was to have a meeting with Kasukuwere, and we all saw the pictures which a lot of people described as rather cozy. And a lot of people were wondering, we have Temba Mliswa saying all these things about Kasukuwere, he wins in Norton, and the two of them now seem to be the best of buddies. What's your reaction to that?
Kasukuwere is the Minister of Local Government and Urban Planning, is he not? He is. And there are issues in my constituency which involve his ministry. I go and see him. Those pictures were taken with the Zimbabwe flag. I asked for them. I had war veterans representing the Northern constituency equally there. It was in his office, and that office belongs to the government of Zimbabwe, which means the people of Zimbabwe. It does not just belong to him. It was not the Zanu PF headquarters. We had a Zimbabwean flag. What does that mean? We had war veterans there who had problems in terms of the stands in Norton and so forth. As such, I go to the responsible minister. In fact, if there's anything, he has been professional, I've been professional. I have a mandate to represent people, and I must separate my personal fights with Kasukuwere and that of my mandate given to people. So the people of Norton will be very disappointed if they see me pursuing my personal fights with Kasukuwere instead of serving them. I'm their servant. As such, I have a mandate to ensure that there's service delivery. And Kasukuwere happens to be in control of a critical ministry in terms of service delivery. The town councils are under him. The housing is under him. So as such, we are inseparable in terms of what we need to do. I'm professional, and I must be grateful to his office that it has actually helped deal with a lot of problems in Norton in terms of housing. And I continue to go to his office to interact with him pertaining to any problem. Equally, if he cannot help, I have a right to see the president of the country too pertaining to anything to do with Norton. As much as I saw Minister Bima in terms of the industry when he came to Dandy in Norton, Minister Mfumira was there at Zipam, so that we also are able to take Zipam to another level. It's refurbished, it's a good entity, it's in my constituency, so I'm on duty. When I'm on duty, you then don't tell me who to see and not to see. As long as these people are officials of government, I will see them at any time to ensure that they service delivery in Norton and that I serve the people of Norton.
Okay. Now, Temba, you had a brief flirtation with the political party led by Amai Joyce Mujuru. A lot of people were rather puzzled by how quickly you dumped People First. What happened?
People First was being registered after I left it, and it's folly of people to say that I had a flirtation with them. I've never had a card. What I know that I was one of the key people in founding People First. There was Didmas Mtasa, Gare Gumbo, myself, and Jablanis Banda. We were the think tank. Mam Juru never set up People First, And I never believed that it was the right time for her to lead people first, because I believe that she did not possess the courage needed of a leader after her expulsion in Zanu PF. Mnangagwa is facing exactly what she faced in Zanu PF, but he's resisting. He's got support of the war veterans and so forth, and he's standing strong despite that. That's what I expected of a leader, and I expected her to equally defend those who were innocently fired, suspended because of her. To me, leadership is when you stand up for people when they're being accused wrongly. You don't keep quiet. You don't allow everybody to be fired at your expense. That's being selfish. And then you start to create a party with the same people. So to me, that's not leadership. We need people who are sincere in leadership.
So are you bitter with Joyce Mjuru that she didn't stick up for the likes of you who were fired from the party on account of supporting her?
We did not support her, so yes, I'm not happy, I'm not impressed. You are supposed to tell the president that I am not working with anybody to oust you or to do a coup on you. That was very important, not to then have innocent people expelled on something she knows that we are not part of and she's not part of. This is where credibility and integrity is important. She was supposed to say to His Excellency then, if you are going to fire innocent people because of me, then let me be fired and save these people.
My final question for you, Temba. We are seeing videos of President Mugabe clearly looking frail. There was a tree planting ceremony recently. We've seen videos of him from Morocco. He's obviously someone you've interacted with a lot when you were still in Zanu PF. Do you not think this probably now constitutes abuse of the elderly? Surely it does not look like he's in the physical state to continue as president. Your thoughts on that?
Zanu PF has never been honest, and the problem with the president is surrounded with people who patronize him, who are criminals at the end of the day. He is equally protecting them. So they'll always tell him what he wants to hear, because they want his protection. But the truth of the matter is that I would like him to really leave office, guide the next president, and at the same time be a statesman where he can give lectures to university. We also need to enjoy his experience as a leader, to hear him. We will never enjoy that. So Zanu PF must allow the president to retire, to resign, and let him go to universities and teach young people, because whether you like it or not, Mugabe is an icon. Whether and people must listen to his strategies. He's been a very intelligent man who's been able to suppress the Zimbabweans who are so intelligent for the past 36 years. He deserves a rest. He deserves to share his experience and strategies with young people like myself, those in the universities, at the same time guiding wherever the president is, so that the current economic situation, we go past it. The bleeding must stop, and we cannot have a situation where he's still in power and people are suffering. It does not resonate with a good statesman. It does not resonate with what you call a nationalist. It is important that Zanu PF is honest with the president, and that he has a break, also spends time with his family, with his grandchild he has, with his children who also need some of his time. We're not kicking him out. From a constitutional point of view, he's there 2018, but the people are suffering, and he must allow his conscience to lead him. If the Zanu PF people are lying to him, may his conscience be his master. It's about time the president stopped. I intend to see him and talk to him myself personally. I had a relationship with him, and I believe in engaging and having a robust discussion about why I was expelled, whether it was worth it. He sees that it's lies, and again the way forward for the country and his future too.
Any chance of you going back to Zanu PF, Temba?
No, I cannot go back to Zanu PF. I'm already working on a third force. I don't believe in any political party leading this country. Come January, we shall be telling you about the third force, who the third force is. And the third force is clearly independent people who want to take this country forward. And we believe that a coalition will happen after the elections, seeing how many seats each one of us has got and so forth. But we are not a party. We are just a third force.
Right, Zimbabwe, thank you for watching Nehanda TV. That was the Norton Member of Parliament, very outspoken indeed, Temba Mliswa, joining us on the program. Thank you for your time, Mr. Mliswa.
Thank you very much.